And what about you? And today in the shop we have the Toyota Hilux Surf that we did a few bits of work on, and it's all over the road when you're driving down the road. So we'll get this, hold this wheel here, and a lot of movement there. It's like driving a boat in a storm. So we're going to have a wee look and see what the problem is. Yeah, look at the state of that. Alright, new rack. Right, so the owner's went and got himself a new rack. Here it is. It's a Yas, and yes, I've never heard of them either. So, let me have a wee look at this rack. Brand new out of the box. And that was supplied by that company there, who I've mentioned before in a previous video. That there kit there that's the big bushing that goes around the left side of the rack. That doesn't come with it, and it also has the other bushings and sleeves in it there for the rest of the rack. But I think they're in it already in this new rack. But we need that big bushing, so you can buy that separately if you need just to change the bushings. This is anti-roll bar bushings there. A couple of them. We're going to change them as well. The first thing we're going to do here is take the anti-roll bar off completely, and new drop links. I'll probably have to cut them off. They're pretty scrap, and they are this make here, Optimal, which is a German company provided by our friends at Rough Tracks. Not a sponsor, wish they were, but there you go. So just a wee note on this steering rack here. There's a bushing in behind here. This one here is an Allen. You can see that okay there. This one here is an Allen, but on the car, it's an ordinary external hex. So you can screw that out, and in behind that there is a bushing. Now, the reason why I didn't decide to change that, because there's movement everywhere, and the whole body of the rack is moving about. And whenever you've seen that footage there. And the other thing is, whenever I took that gator off initially, that gator was full of power steering fluid, so the seal's racked in there as well. So we'll go for a new rack. You know, this, believe it or not, wasn't really that expensive. There's people think these are like £1,000 and all that there. This wasn't. It was about £250. So you know, you pay maybe 150, something like that, for a second-hand one, but this is brand new, and because it's supplied by that company there, not a sponsor, no affiliation to them at all, but I have got some amount of stuff from them, and it's always been dead on. It's always been good. So I'm happy enough to put this whatever it is, whatever that make is, and wherever it comes from. They Rough Tracks source it, and as I said, they test it, and they reckon it's good. So yeah, it looks pretty. It's pretty sturdy anyway. It looks pretty good to me. So it isn't really that dear. It's a fair lump of a thing. There's a fair weight in it as well. Look at that there. It's pretty big. So we'll get this anti-roll bar off, and I'll probably break out our heating ductor for this job. I think it's going to save a day again for this car. So, okie doke. Right, we've just taken our drop links off. We just buzzed them off with that wee fac on there. That just took them off in seconds. So I just want to draw your attention to these drop links. So that one there was out of the left side, and the bushing was near enough flattened on that one, and then the bushing on the right hand side was firstly doing nothing. Okay, so what I've noticed here is these two are different. So this one here, as you see, the black paint still on it. All different sizes of nuts. The nut on that is a wee small 14 or something. That's a 17. That was a 17 there, and that was a 19. So you can see that has a backing plate thing on it. That one does not. But what the reason why I'm shooting this wee bit, guys, is see drop links. You need to change drop links in pairs. In fact, I've been telling the guys down at my local motor factors, you should be really selling these in pairs. You know, you need to change these, and the reason is there'll always be a very, very slight difference in length. You know, and you mightn't be able to see it just initially, but there's slight differences in them. So even, you know, the size of this, I can see that the size of that there is smaller than the size of the diameter of that. You know, so that means that rod's going to be uppermost a wee bit. So this bushing tells me that this was being pulled all the time. So even with the car sitting on the ground, you know, the anti-roll bar is kilted. It's at all times. So that's where you get the premature wear in the bushings, and that's because people change these singly. So I just thought I would shoot that wee bit there, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do about this this tie rod. So the wheel alignment here is off a clean mile, so because of this movement. But a lot of people count threads here and maybe put a bit of tape around here or all sorts of stuff. But I'm going to do a wee dirty quick alignment. So with the steering wheel ahead, this is what I'm going to do. Right, so that I know the position of the wheel here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an arbitrary mark on the chassis leg. So I'm going to just mark the chassis leg there like that with a bit of tip axe, and then I know to put my rule to there, and there's dead on a foot on the back plate. So if I hold that there, I'm going to put a wee mark on the back plate. I'm going to put a wee mark like that. So I know it's going to be a foot, so I'm gonna write in the desk 1 foot there, and so that's just purely so that when I put the track rod end back onto the new rack, I can get a rough measurement of where it's supposed to go. Now that isn't the end of the story, because I'm putting a new rack in here. That is very, very rough now. I will be doing alignment at the end of it, but that isn't the end of the story. What I'm going to have to do as well is the spindle that's on the where the steering column comes down. So that's the steering column there coming down onto the rack, and it's in behind the chassis leg. You can't see it this angle. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to take a measurement between the back of that bolt and the end of the thread there, so that when I put that back in again, I'll know where the rack has to end up for the steering wheel in the straight ahead position, and then drop the spindle from the steering column on at that position. Now it's all going to be very rough, but I'm going to do an alignment anyway. The only reason why I'm going to do that is if this is going to be too far that way or too far this way, you mightn't have enough threads available for adjustment. Now, I might change that anyway, because there isn't an awful lot of threads here. If there's far more threads on the other side, I might maybe elect to bring that out a wee bit more. But it's pretty fine. It's a pretty fine line. We're talking, you know, 5 mil in it or something. So that's the way I'm going to do that, the way I'm going to approach it. So we'll see how we get on. But first of all, what I have to do is, you see the state of these bolts here and that anti-roll bar. So the back one comes down out of the chassis, out of that where it's bolted onto there, and the front one goes up the way. So they are, I'm quite sure if I just have a go at them with a ratchet or something, they'll just break. So we're going to get the heat inductor out and give all them a good heat up, and get this first thing, get that out of the road, because we're going to change the end bushings anyway, and that'll get us access to the rack a wee bit better. Okay, we're going to take another measurement. The anti-roll bar is now removed, as you can see there. So anti-roll bar's out of the way, so we can take a few more measurements. I'll show you in a minute why I'm doing this other measurement here. It'll all become apparent, hopefully. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go against the body of the rack there, and I'm going to take a measurement to the end here. So the new rack, you get it with the gator and the inner tie rod. So I need to know how much this is out with the steering wheel in the straight ahead position, with that measurement from the wheel to the chassis. So all that in place, all those measurements are in place. So we're getting about 206 millimeters there. Okay. Let's see. Let me try and make it a wee bit more accurate. So the tie rod's still connected to the hub at the minute. So if I put that up against there, .205, that's about 204 there. Pretty happy with that. 204, so that's the body. That's the measurement from the body to the end of the inner tie rod. So the reason why I did that, I'll show you now. Okay, so we're on the car, and that is the coupling from the steering column down onto the rack there. So normally we'll have a wee pinch bolt in here, that's removed, and then there's a couple of bolts go up on each side of this rubber coupling here. So what I tried to do, I took this pinch bolt out, and I took that pinch bolt out to see if this would go up, but that is jammed on there pretty well. So plan B, as it were, so we're going to split this coupling, so we took these two bolts out, and I took those nuts out as well, but they're not really giving me anything, but it doesn't really matter. So what we've done is we've split that from there. That pinch bolt's back in again, it's pinching that, so we slid that up as far as it'll go. So there's no telescopic steering column in this car, so I'm not able to get rid of the column. That goes on the universal joint through the bulkhead and then straight down vertically, as you can see there. So that comes straight down vertically. So that is going to the end of its travel. It only raises up a couple of mil just to make it loose for me. So I've tightened that up again so that whenever I pull the rack out, that just doesn't fall off. So that's going to remain in the same position. So I know this is going to stay exact. So what we're going to have to do is take this off on the bench, or on this rack side, and transfer that over on the other one. But I need to know the position of it. So it's going to be fairly crucial, and we're going to try and replicate the position of it here onto the new one. So that's why I took this other measurement, the measurement down here, the measurement down there, so that I can have that in the position on the bench as it is now, and then transfer that over, hopefully on the same spline. So that's my thinking behind all that. So yeah, okay. Right, here's our old rack out, and it's beside the new one there. So I'm going to show you the reason for all this measuring here. So if you remember, we took a measurement from there to here, and it's 205 mil. Okay, so what we did then was this coupling, this steering coupling, we took a mental sort of note of the position of it at that measurement. So that stud there is in line with that bolt there. So we keep that in line. So what I had to do, well, the pinch bolt was out anyway. But I'll get down here. So yeah, there we go. The pinch bolt was out, and so we've got a wee chisel in there, and I can't really see it there. I'll show you it in a minute. Got a wee chisel in there, one of them wee chisels there, and then had a good walt with a big chisel, and that got her off. She was jammed in pretty well, so now it's able to come off of my hand. And I give those wee splines a bit of a scooch with WD-40 and a wee bit of wire brush in there, a wee bit of wire wool on my finger. So that's going to transfer on this bow. So I'm just going to set it on for the moment, and it goes on nice and free. So it goes on nice with my hand there into its final resting place. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this until we get the same here as well. So a bit too much there, but I'll have to check that with my eye. I'll turn that back a bit. So just a wee bit of fine adjustment there. We'll get that 205mm, and then we'll be able to turn this so that it's in line with that bolt on the casing. So hopefully that'll be us, and then we'll transfer our track rod ends over, but we know how far in they were, so we're going to transfer them in. Now this is all on the assumption that this is exactly the same, that all that's the same length. Sometimes when you get track rod ends, aftermarket track rod ends, the lengths are different, so it screws you up. You can't do this thread counting malarkey or measuring. So I'm assuming, making a big assumption that this is all the same. So not a bad looking rack. Now you may have noticed there, I've taken them lines off. It came with those lines on it there, and I've taken them off, and I've plugged them with these wee plugs. This is a wee tip. I keep these here are off whenever you buy a fuel filter or whatever. They come plugged on the end of it. But I keep all them in a wee drawer in one of the toolboxes, one of the wee lay out small drawers. And I just fire them in. So they're dead handy for just keeping the dirt out. And I'll have a couple shoved in there. So all different ones sort of fit. Them ones are good, those sort of rubbery ones. So different diameters of that. And the reason why I did that was when it's on the car, you can't get at these here with those lines going past. So you can't get a good, those were really tight. I think they're 17mm for the main lines that go to the power steering pump. So to get them off, the only way I could really do it to get a swing at haul, I had to put just an open end spanner on it and hit it a good crack with a mallet a few times just to get them moving, and bend it back and forward, nicely back and forward, till it came nicely. So it wasn't too bad once I took those lines off. So that's why I just took those lines off when it's off the car. I'm going to offer it up the way it is. I'm going to put this on, pinch it again, get it into position, check my measurement, and get her in. Just another wee thing. Anybody owns one of these here, that boot there was completely worn there, and that would have been worth, if you don't have problems with your rack, but you still think you have a bit of woolly steering, and there's no movement in your track rod ends or your inner tie rods or whatever, that there is pretty changeable with the rack on the car. If you loosen that bolt, and take those two bolts off the bracket, that one and that one, you just take that bracket off and you'll be able to change that rubber. So that won't half tighten it up, that rubber that was in that kit. So there's all those other bushings and sleeves that we're not going to use because they're already in here. They're already in there. Another thing we noticed is that one there is the other way around to the one that's in the car. But I'm happy enough, all I'm going to do is use one of the washers that come in that kit. There was a washer on that side, but if you notice, that part of the sleeve is on this side. Well, it's the opposite that way, but I can't see that making any difference, any appreciable difference. So I'll put my fingers over the camera. So we'll put that there on there, and that should be the same thing. So we'll get this all tightened up here, and those wee bolts that I took off, there, I'll just put them on when it's off the car. Make it a wee bit easier for me. I'll get this measurement till I'm happy. Get that pinch bolt in. Get that pinch bolt in there when I get that all lined up, so it fits on there nicely. If I have to adjust this, you know, I'll basically more or less have to take the rack out again to move that, because there's not enough play for that to go up and turn it. So I want to get this correct when it's on the ground. So okay doke. And there we go. One new rack. All connected up. So we'll just check our measurements, see what it looks like. So steering wheel is in the straight ahead position. Tracker rod ends or tie rods there are bolted back on again. So first one I want to look at, now obviously this can come in and out, so we've screwed it into about 5 threads there from the nut, so where it was, and that gives us our foot, or 300 mil. So now we're back to where we were on that one. This measurement here, get it around the mils here, is from there round about that 205. So pretty happy with that. Steering wheel straight ahead position. So clearly though, with this, there's going to be, you know, the alignment is off. The other side there is actually torn in a wee bit, but that allows me to pull the threads out. That's on the other side. So there's enough, there's a bucket load of threads in there. So the danger is if you had to screw that in anymore, there isn't much room for maneuver. But I know that this rack, this here, is sitting more or less where the other one was, from the steering coupling that was in there, from those wee reference points that we made. So yeah, a couple of wee measurements before you take it apart, and you know it goes back on again. There's no real dramas. It's going to need alignment anyway, or a track really is all I'm going to do with this. So it's just to get these wheels dead ahead. I'm going to set it more or less 0 on both sides. So just now to put the anti-roll bar back in again, and yeah, with new bushings and drop links, get the anti-roll bar back in again, and yeah, it looks pretty good. Pretty good looking rack. Pretty happy with it. Good and sturdy. These bits here seem to be pretty good. Those wee pipes aren't bad. Just screw them all back on again. Not too bad. I covered enough job just where it is. Having the car really that high off the ground, so everything's on your back. It's held in quite well. All the bolts come out easy enough with the wee Facom ergon. So I'm going to wrap this vid up on this one here. I think it's went on long enough. I've more or less got the point across, I think, of you know, taking a few rough measurements and putting things back the way they were. So that maybe gives you a bit of an idea of, you know, how to go about things. It's all about how approach things. How do you approach things like that? You know, you don't just go ahead, just ram stam, take it off and strip it all down and you don't know where you are, you know. So a couple of marks in there, a couple of measurements, note them down, and you can replicate what is there already. But yeah, she always was going on legal alignment. So hopefully we'll get her aligned, get her back down on the deck again, and get the alignment gauges on it. It shouldn't be too big of a drama. Take it out for test drive, fill it full of power steering fluid, and give it a bleed just by rotating the wheel back and forward a few times with the engine on. We'll do that before we put her back down on the deck again. So many thanks for watching as ever, and all the best, and bye bye.